Hello everyone, Jim Kim here again, and today we'll be talking about how digestion works. The abdominal cavity can be very confusing because there are a lot of organs that aid in your digestion. You can broadly divide these organs into two types, intraperitoneal and retroperitoneal. Intraperitoneal means it's suspending inside the space within the abdominal cavity, called the peritoneal cavity through this extension of ligands called mesentery. And I will go over a few examples of these mesenteries as we go. Now, if intraperitoneal means inside the abdominal peritoneal cavity, what do you think retroperitoneal means? It means outside the peritoneal cavity, specifically behind the intraperitoneal organs. Now that we have these terms defined, let us begin. We have our male model here as usual, and I want to remind you yet again that all these processes that we'll be going through are happening within your body. Whether it's that juicy burger from In-N-Out or sushi from your favorite restaurant, they all follow this general pattern. Now let us begin with the mouth. After we swallow our food, the food arrives in the esophagus as highlighted here. But it doesn't stay there for so long. In fact, the food passes the esophagus in a matter of seconds to arrive to the stomach. You see, the esophagus has multiple layers of muscles that allow this rapid transfer of food from the pharynx to the stomach. Now, what do you think this dome-like structure covering the abdominal organs? This is your diaphragm that is absolutely crucial in breathing by manipulating the space around the lungs called the pleural cavity to aid you in breathing. And we'll discuss breathing in great detail when we go over the thorax. Now, removing the diaphragm reveals the stomach, which is on the left side of your abdomen. Within the stomach, we have these stomach acids, enzymes, and chemicals that begin degrading the food. And if you haven't done so, I highly recommend watching our colleague Vishnu's physiology video on stomach for more details about the cells of the stomach. Once the food has been degraded into this acidic goo within the stomach, there is this area at the junction of the stomach and the small intestine called the pyloric sphincter that acts like a valve to empty the stomach content into the small intestine, where the actual nutritional contents like the sugar, proteins, and fat from the food you ate are absorbed. We also have these colonies of bacteria along the lumen of the small intestine called the gut microbiome, which is probably one of the hottest research topics as of 2023. Now, the small intestine is composed of three parts: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. And here you see jejunum is generally on the left side of the abdomen, whereas ileum is generally on the right side of the abdomen. And these two organs are intraperitoneal, suspended within the peritoneal cavity via a mesentery called the mesentery. So it is able to move around freely inside the fluid of peritoneal cavity. Now let's take a look back at the duodenum, specifically from behind, where you see part of the duodenum is retroperitoneal. In fact, the duodenum has both an intraperitoneal part, as demonstrated here from the frontal view, and the retroperitoneal part, as demonstrated here, where it drains into the connecting jejunum right here being highlighted. And jejunum then drains into the ileum, and ileum then eventually drains into the large intestine, as demonstrated right here. The cecum is the beginning of the large intestine at the bottom right part of your body, as you can see here, and the appendix may or may not be found like a little tail that extends down from the cecum depending on whether the person had their appendix removed or not through appendectomy. From the cecum, the digested food then traveled up through the ascending colon, horizontally through the transcending colon, and down through the descending colon as highlighted here, and the sigmoid colon underneath here. Most of the time, the lumen of the large intestine is filled with air, composed of methane and carbon dioxide that comes from the gut microbiome fermenting sugar to feed themselves. And finally, at the end of the large intestine is a retroperitoneal organ called the rectum. right here, which collects your feces and then send those feces to the anal canal where they end up in the toilet. And last, but very not least, we have to consider these accessory organs faded here. Liver is one of the biggest organs of your body on the right side of your abdomen. It detoxes any harmful chemicals and is involved in absorbing and sending those nutrients from the small intestine into the heart, which are then distributed to the rest of your body. The liver also hides this pocket of organ called the gallbladder, right here being highlighted, which is absolutely crucial in production of bile acids, which are released into the duodenum and make fat easier to absorb in the small intestine. Bile is also made in our final accessory organ that is also retroperitoneal, called the pancreas, right here, which also produces hormones like insulin and glucagon that are crucial for controlling your blood glucose level. And that's basically it. To sum it all up, the esophagus is a passage that quickly sends food from the pharynx to the stomach, where degradation with stomach acid and enzymes take place. The gastric or the stomach content is then sent to the small intestine through the pyloric sphincter, and the large intestine is then able to absorb nutrients and water. After we suck everything out, the final content is then accumulated in the rectum to be sent down the toilet. Last but not least, we have the liver to help those nutrients be sent to the heart for distribution, as well as gallbladder and pancreas to release bile acids that aid in fat absorption. I hope this video helped you understand where the abdominal organs are, how they work, and form those new neural connections about your body. And if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and comment. Bye-bye, and have a good night.